Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof, our weekly edition of the preview of Saturday's racing. I'm joined only by Michael Andrews this week and myself. Michael Andrews, though, did have a 12-1 nap last week that won.
16, actually.
16, sorry, 16, sorry. My apologies. How rude of me to get that wrong.
That was amazing. I'm so pleased about that. And I think I do get the award now for the biggest price nap. I don't think I've had many winners for a
Yeah,
while.
momentarily. It was me. Oh, no, sorry, it was Callum, actually. Callum had about an 8-1 TriCast or something like that come in.
Okay.
But yeah, you have now taken over.
So I've just,
You
and I think I
have,
also
have
win
now
on.
taken over. So
I think I also win on biggest tip as well with being Nokara Bow. We won't mention the fact that I didn't back it, but I definitely tipped it in some capacity in January. And I think you come in second with Miss Capistel.
But I
John.
backed Estelle, so surely that gives more solitude to that. Um, we have 8 races to crack on with today, and as always, we'd love to hear your questions. So if you guys have any fancies for tomorrow or for the coming week, for that matter, or any questions that you'd like to put to me or Michael that we can get horribly wrong, then let us know. You can tweet me at LukeElder13 or Michael's Twitter at my10 yours. Just tweet us a question or a fancy, and we'll be happy to read it out because we love hearing from you. The first race that we're going to be covering today is at Newbury, and ironically, last time it was just us two covering the Saturday racing. It was Newbury,
Yeah, it was. It was
and
a Hennessy.
we did quite well that day. So here's to
Yeah.
good one again.
I
What's your fancy for the 205?
The 205. I really like this race. Like this is my kind of race again. You know, a stayers handicap. Not a stayers handicap, so a stayers race. And obviously we've got Mount Athos in the race, and I think he should outclass these if he's at his best. Obviously was Melbourne Cup aimed last. Ran really well. He was third, I believe, in the behind Fiorente. That's correct. And has ran reasonably as well in Maidan since, especially only 3 lengths behind Gentil Donna last time out in the Group 1. This is only a listed race. If he's ready, he should be winning. 100 to 30 is, you could say, a bit of a gift, really. He's 2 out of 2 over 30 furlongs. He's unbeaten over course and distance. He's had 3 runs at Newbury. He's had 1 win. And this horse is amazing. He's moved Marco Botti. I'm not quite sure why. I think Luca Comani will be a bit gutted about that because Mount Athol's obviously going to be aimed at the Melbourne Cup again, and Luca Comati's got a bit of a love-hate relationship with that race, and I can definitely see Mount Athos winning here. Of the others, I do like Forgotten Voice, but it's definitely not Mount Athos standard. And I think Brass Ring needs to settle better. I really liked his stride, to be honest, at Newmarket last time out 2 weeks ago. But he just didn't stay over 1.5 miles when he was going at such a furious gallop. So I think Brass Ring's the interesting one of the race. Litigant needs to improve. Sky Hunter was disappointing last time out, but you'd expect better on the ground. Battalion, I think this is going to be one of the first times he's really going to probably encounter ground this fast, to be honest. But he did look quite progressive towards the back end of last season, and I think I've covered most of the main chances there. But for me, it's got to be Mount Athos and Brass Ring each way is a bit of value, I suppose, at around 12 to 1.
Yeah, we're starting off strong tonight with no disagreement whatsoever because I'm a big fan of Mount Athos, as many people would know. Um, you mentioned Luca Comani having a love-hate relationship with the Melbourne Cup. Didn't he have Bauer as well a couple of seasons ago that didn't quite get in, missed out by 1, and then on the morning of the race something came out and he missed out by 10 minutes or something like that.
Oh God, that would make it worse because I know obviously his daughter Francesca works in Australia now, and Luca, he said I think he just keeps wanting to actually win it, and then once he's won it, he'll be fine. But the gist I got from when we were doing the interviews last year is that he kind of doesn't really want to go out there, but now he's kind of gripped by it. You know, he wants to conquer Australia.
Well, he has, I think, won it once before, but didn't actually win it on paper. His horse posted a faster time, but didn't actually finish or pass the post in front. It was a ridiculous anomaly. His chest passed in front, but his nose didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that was Bauer as well, actually.
I don't. I'm not sure about that. Luca Comani. I swear his closest was Yeah, Bauer did run, but I can't remember if he was second or. I thought the closest we got was Jackalbury when he was third 2 years ago now.
Well,
That
if anyone at
okay,
home, if anyone at home recognises that story I've just told, and it is the wrong horse I'm saying about with Bauer, let us know and help us get to the
yeah.
bottom of this one. But back to the race. Mount Athos is also I've got a lot of time for. I think Newbury will play much more to his strengths. He was pulled out of Chester last week because of the softer ground. They're going to be perfect for him tomorrow. Jamie Spencer gets on very well with him. I think this Newbury will really help him as well. It's a big galloping track. He's a huge horse as well. I'd love to see him over a hurdle, but we won't talk too much about that because Callum Liddell will come out of nowhere and rugby tackle me for saying it. But I just feel that the long straight will help him wind up eventually. He stays very, very well, as proved when staying on strongly on the outside twice in the L1 Cup now. Um, I also think he's the best horse in the race as well. It's interesting that money's coming for Battalion. He's the one horse in this race that could actually be better than we have seen. You know, he's won 3 of his last 4. Ryan Moore's on board it. Ryan Moore seems to be riding winners left, right, and centre at the moment. As of the others, it's hard to see any others getting involved. Sky Hunter was well back last time at Sandown on very bad ground. Gets faster ground again today, but he was poor last time. High Noble Mission. It's hard for me to see Mount Athos getting beat, if I'm honest, but well, hopefully he'll still be race fit from Maidan. He ran creditably over there. This race would look to be easier than that as well. So Mount Athos for us too. But moving on to Newmarket now in the 220, and this is quite another sort of nice race. I think. I know Van Persie's been called a few names on the Sun in his career. 2-1 is a bit short. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I do like the form of that. In fairness, he wasn't the first one that drew my attention, to be honest. When I looked at it, I thought doesn't have the depth isn't actually there. But I do like the form because Mighty Yar obviously won that race over probably course and distance. Was it last time the race that Mighty Yar won? That Van Persie was fifth in. And obviously he won the time before that at Lingfield. I think was that no, couldn't have been Champions Day
No.
or Weather Champions Day. But yeah, behind Mighty Yar, that was over 1 miles 4 actually. This is further today, over 1 mile 6. I just can't get involved at 2-1. I just don't think that's a reasonable price. I think Coral are about 11-4 now. I suppose that's more of a reasonable price. But the horse I'm interested in, and a horse that I think is the class horse if he's ready and he's going to show it, is De Rigueur, who obviously has to have the best form in my opinion behind Tiger Cliff and also Sun Central last year. Tiger Cliff over course and distance, he was only 1.25 lengths behind Tiger Cliff that day. That was in a Class 2 handicap. Mubraza was third. Caravan Rolls On was behind that, and there was a few other decent horses behind him. Obviously Tiger Cliff's the main one though. Then Sun Central he beat the next time out at Haydock, and that was over 2 miles. So he's obviously stays well as well. He did. You can't say that his return to action at Ripon last time out behind Battalion, who runs at Newbury, was not disappointing. He got beaten 36 lengths when he was second favourite, but that was just too bad to be true. You couldn't even say that was just a comeback run. I don't think it was just so bad. But if he's back to his best here over a course that he has obviously run well at before, I think he's got an excellent chance. Of the others, I thought Highland Castle was perhaps a little bit interesting at 9-1, mainly because of not course and distance form. It was run at the July course when he won. He beat Handsome Man. I can't remember what time. It must have been over the July course, or somewhere in June or July. Yes, 8th of June. That was over a bit shorter though, and I'm worried if he has won over this distance before, but I just don't think he can keep up with De Rigueur if at his best. But if he gets a soft lead, that would be my worry. I haven't really found any other horses that like soft leads. I think Tropical Beat could be a bit of a worry, but for me, it's De Rigueur.
Yeah, and the one you just touched on there, Tropical Beat, is one that I'm actually quite interested in. I've had him down as a very unlucky horse since he's gone to Dave O'Meara's because he is a good ground horse. He needs it pretty fast. He's going to get that tomorrow. But since he's been to Dave O'Meara's, we had very much soft ground at the back end of last year. He ran on good to start with, and Musselburgh came second. Then good to soft and was fourth behind Camborne at Doncaster. Then didn't really disgrace himself at Newmarket behind Caucus, who we all know very well. Before that, it was with John Gosden, and it's very interesting. I thought today that William Buick takes the ride, who knows him so well from his Gosden days. Dave O'Meara, he's been in fantastic form lately. There's no hiding that. And just the slight worry for me is first time out. He hasn't won first time out. He's gone close, but he hasn't really shown his best first time out. He always sort of needs the run. He's the one that sort of stuck out for me. Van Persie, I would be interested in, but around 2-1, I just can't be interested in him. He just looks to keep a bit back for himself. The hood's on now. Andrew Balding's a fantastic trainer, but I'm just a little bit sceptical about Van Persie. I know he's got his fans, of course, but I'd have to agree with you, the biggest danger being De Rigueur. So I think we've agreed on one horse and then said that the other person's horse is the biggest danger, with Tropical Beat in there. So that could be a nice little forecast there. But I don't know. I think it will be hard to get Tropical Beat beaten tomorrow. And hopefully the return to better ground will be more in his favour. But on to the 240 at Newbury now. To say this is competitive is an understatement. I think this is a really hard race to get through, and it's the kind of race that you really, really like, Michael. So good luck.
Yeah, I was really confident about horse. Then I checked the distance, and I thought, I just don't know if he needs an extra furlong, and that's Chill the Kite, who was only beaten, well, not beaten, about 8 lengths, I think it was, in the actual Lockinge last year, behind Far. I'll just check it out. I think it was about 8 lengths. Yeah, 8 lengths, 8 3/4 lengths. In a Group 1.
Yeah.
And he had his comeback run behind Robin Hood's Bay. He didn't really get involved. No, sorry, his comeback run was over at Maidan, and then he didn't really get involved over 1 miles 2 furlongs in the Group 3 in the Winter Derby. I feel like I'm American Derby.
Derby, yeah.
I think it's because they've been talking about the Kentucky Derby too much.
Can you give us a yeehaw?
Yeah.
It does it better.
Basically, I think this is a horse that is at least listed level. Possibly, he's placed in group events, including Group 2. He was in the Betfred Mile behind Trumpet Major. This is a listed horse in a handicap, and he's got George Baker aboard, decent jockey. My only worry is the trip. I can't believe he's around about 11-1. I think that's ridiculous. In fact, you can get 16s, apparently, according to William Hill. But yeah, I'm just not sure if he needs that extra furlong to wind up, especially on this ground. That's my only worry. The one that I thought was the massive danger is Bronze Angel. Loves this kind of ground. Won the Cambridgeshire when I was there 2 years ago now. It feels weird saying that. And is a very decent horse. Obviously, had his comeback run behind Gabriel's Kaka. Plenty of winners have come out of that. No more so than Ocean Tempest. I also think there's a few others in there. Can't really see anyone. I'm looking. Browncy Brink was there. There are some decent horses that have come out of that race. And I think Bronze Angel, this is definitely the trip for Bronze Angel. 7 furlongs. It won't be an issue. So I think Bronze Angel definitely deserves to be right up there with favouritism. But it is a very competitive handicap, and it's definitely a race that I'd be interested in with Bronze Angel, who I'm getting is potentially now price-wise, as I see green right across. Thanks a lot, price-wise. So we'll see. We'll ask if any viewers know what price-wise is at the moment. But yeah, Bronze Angel, and I'm just surprised Chill the Kite's such a big price, even though I am worried about it.
No, I agree with that, actually. I did see Chill the Kite and sort of had the double take that he was running in a handicap after such strong form. But I'm really annoyed you've stolen my selection again with Bronze Angel. I'm going to take the lead on the next race. But Bronze Angel's has won first time out. Obviously, he had the run behind Gabriel's Kaka before, so that may have put him right today. Hayley Turner takes the ride, I'm a massive fan of. Bit annoyed that you said that price-wise has got him, which I'm kind of annoyed about. Hopefully you're wrong on that front. But 7
Yeah, I hope.
I think 7-1 is still a fair price about him, to be honest.
I can only see 6s now.
No, what, sorry?
I can only see 6s at the moment. Oh no, it doesn't look. Oh no, I think that's a different day. I'll see if I can find out anyway. Oh no, they have gone price-wise. Price-wise, 240 Bronze Angel, 330 Fear or Favour, and Sean will be happy, 350 Chopin.
Oh, really? Okay. So, well, at least Bronze Angel is the only price-wise selection that I've got today. But it
Yeah.
just ran very well last time out. Gabriel's Kaka, since, well, had won that race, has since tried to step up into a bit higher company and didn't really shine, although that's at Chester, and I don't think he is a Chester horse. I think it's just Dr. Marwan Kukash wanting to run a million horse at Chester, which you can't blame him for. He loves the meeting so much. But Bronze Angel would be the one that I'd take. One that I'd keep an eye on is Dreamwalker. He's 16 to 1. I don't think he'd win. He'll win today. I was convinced he'd win last time, but was given a soft ride really. When his chance had gone, he was looked after, and he wasn't beaten a massive amount. To be honest, it was at completely forgotten where it was at.
Red,
um,
red car.
Redcar, yeah, that's it. It was Redcar. So my apologies. Behind Victor Delifa, who's been in fantastic form, has beaten 7 lengths that day. I think maybe next time out, or in the near future, he'll be back to winning ways for Brian Ellison. But for me, in this race, definitely Bronze Angel. But it's a very interesting one that you put up with Till the Kite. Moving on now to a race that I'm very happy when I looked at this earlier, was the 255 at Newmarket. And the one that I was really keen on in this is Aeolus, who was desperately unlucky last time out when behind Shifting Power, who's since gone on to finish fourth in the 2000 Guineas, of course. And that was on a handicap off a mark of 101. But if he's got his run stopped twice, he's got it stopped 3, 4, or 5 times, he's stuck on the rail, got no out. He had a little bit of a run a furlong out, then made his ground, then sort of got squeezed up again, and then at the finish he was never nearer than right on top of the line, and give about maybe 5 or 6 strides afterwards he was probably in front. He's got to a big weight turnaround with Parbold tomorrow, who of course it was a handicap last time. I think it's about £10 the turnaround, and they weren't too far apart that day. But if Aeolus can get a clear run, then I'm convinced he's a much better horse than a 102 rated animal. He's 101 last time, almost defied that. Miracle of Medina is a danger, but giving away £7, you'd be worried at the top of it. Brazos is also a horse that I've very much liked, or as me and Michael called it last year at Newbury.
Brazos.
I think that was well, Michael trying to get it into the Naughty Luck 15 and calling it Brazos, but I always had Brazos down as one to sort of improve as a 3-year-old, and he won last time quite nicely as well, and was eye-catching the time before that. So if there's going to be a danger, then it'll be Brazos, and it's interesting that Clive Britton's actually booked Mikel Barcelona for that. As with the others, you have to put Piebald down as a danger. Toofy as well was eye-catching last time. Dorothy B was very disappointing. I know I fancied it quite strongly last time actually, but just found didn't fire whatsoever. But I'm fairly keen on Aeolus tomorrow, and 9 to 2 I think is a decent price about it. Back out of handicap company, but I'll stop talking and let Michael have a go now.
I'm not going to add a huge amount to that. I must admit, I did miss this race when I was looking at it. But Aeolus, I'm not quite sure why Aeolus is a couple of points bigger than Parbold, because Parbold for me has been actually a little bit disappointing. Only was fifth in the free handicap, as the Aeolus was third. Not quite sure why that one is shorter. Then that doesn't
Well,
make any.
there was a lot of weight in between. There's a big weight turnaround today.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough. I haven't looked at that. But I'll try and play devil's advocate then and think of other horses because I think Aeolus has got a form of Night of Thunder and also Shifting Power. But what do you think about the run that Mashir got today? Because Mashir was second, I think, in that race and was well beaten earlier on today at York or Newmarket. I can't remember which place it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, Mashir was beaten, so that hasn't franked the form. Obviously, Shifting Power has. Mashir has. Then you've obviously got Miracle of Medina is in this race. Dorothy B was perhaps hampered in the Nell Gwyn Stakes behind Sandiva and was eased as a result. So maybe you could see more there. Was only beaten 2 1/4 lengths behind Vorder in the Cheveley Park Stakes last year. So Dorothy B should be closer today. But to be honest, Aeolus should win this, I think. Parbold, I can understand if there is a weight equality now in comparison to in the handicap, and he's got some decent form. But I think Aeolus is the one that's got more potential, so I'll go with Aeolus, and perhaps be nice to see Dorothy B get back to what she's definitely capable of.
Yeah, I think it's a £10 pull at the weights with Parbold and Aeolus, which is a big pull. But Aeolus just was so unlucky last time. Me and Callum actually had him in the play spot and it was the one you're watching it, pulling your hair out. Just didn't get up for a place, but I just think he's a much better horse than that day, obviously. But I'd be gutted if he couldn't win tomorrow. Back to Newbury for the 3:15 now, and this is about as competitive as they come. We saw Windshear win at Sandown. It was actually Richard Hughes' comeback ride. It was fairly impressive that day. And I also saw him at Newmarket the time before that. He'd surely be the one to take on this, and judging by the prices as well, the bookmakers also think that.
Yeah, just to update you, I got a text from Sean, who's a Chopin fan, and just goes, "I'm livid."
He's livid.
So,
Oh, yeah.
I must admit, the fact that price-wise just annihilates the price on whatever horse you're going to back the night before, from 8 p.m. onwards, is a bit of a killer, especially considering price-wise. Has had some winners recently, but had gone quite a long time without any winners, but still the horses got cut significantly at about 8 p.m. that night. Back on this race, I think the form has worked out well. Cloudscape was slightly disappointing last time. Thanks, Mum. To be honest, but that was behind Barney Moe beating 12 lengths. That was really disappointing. But volume has come out of that race. The since that he won today, I think, at Newbury. Some of the others haven't come out and done anything. But Windshear shows that he was flexible when he got on top in like a really decent horse in fairness, and I can't really look past him. I think Canic Chase is a bit of not a hype horse because he was bought for so much, and was really impressive at Lingfield. The jockey that day really didn't push him out at all. I watched that a couple of hours ago, and he just sauntered clear on some ground that wasn't ideal. It was a bit soft at Lingfield that day. So I think those are the two that are interesting. Satellite for William Haggis. Obviously only have the one start, but won that really impressively. The horse that came second that day hasn't thrown the form earlier this evening, Maracuja, because he was beaten at Hamilton, but the third ran respectively Hesketh Bank. So I think Satellite's form isn't as solid as Windshear. Windshear has, put it to them already and is proven, and Canic Chase has got more to show, I think. So those would be my two. I would have. Oh, it's difficult which one I choose. I think I'd have slight preference for Windshear.
Yeah, this is really weird. We're agreeing on a lot. We rarely agree on racing. Satellite is the one you mentioned, is the one that falls under the could be anything sort of topic, and I suppose you could also put Windshear under that as well. Won really nicely last time out in desperate conditions at Sandown, but just kept on going to the line. Stamina's clearly no issue with him, but then was also second at Newmarket on good ground to Cloudscape. So ground doesn't appear to be an issue. 3-1, I think, is more than a fair price, but it is a really competitive race. There's not much more that I can add to your little speech about Windshear. I think this is a better race than he won last time. Probably will have to improve to win it, but he's only had 3 runs and looks to be improving all the time anyway. The horse that we saw at Sandown is a completely different horse that I saw at Newmarket, for sure. If I had to put up one as a danger, I'm not sure. It would have to be between Satellite and Canic Chase. So it's interesting to see you're so keen on Canic Chase. But I don't know. I just can't see past Windshear in this, with Richard Hughes keeping the ride, obviously, after he won it last time. But on to Newmarket, and now, what were your words before we came on air, Michael, about this race?
I can't remember. It's something like, please tell me that you can talk about this race, because I really don't want to.
And talk about it I can. I've debated using my nap for this race. There's a horse I'm a big fan of called Stars Above Me of Roger Charlton's. Looked potentially class, pure class, when he won at Lingfield back end of last season. Then, for me, disappointed a little bit. I expected him to win last time out. Came second at Newmarket over course and distance. But I think the faster they go, the better he'll be. He just needs to learn to settle. He's only had 3 runs. William Buick takes the ride today, as James Doyle was retained on brass ring at Newbury. But William Buick obviously is no bad replacement whatsoever. 5-1, I think, is a huge price about him. In my mind, there's no doubt he's a better horse than 91, and he's only going to get better as racing goes on. He still looks a little bit immature. I think he just needs a little bit of time, but he's a very, very classy animal. Of the rest, Sleeper King's a very strong. Impressed me a bit last year. And he's the kind that I'd expect to improve as a 3-year-old. Whether he'd be up to winning first time out that's a doubt in my mind. Stomp is also an interesting one, but on jockey bookings, you'd maybe say it was the second choice with Joey Haynes, or Joey Haynes has obviously also ridden Stars Above Me when winning at Leicester. But Meritocracy is the one that I'd put up as the main each way, or main danger anyway, but would be an each way better 16-1. I think he's had 2 runs to get fit. He's a massive, massive horse. Was it you that was with at Goodwood last year when we saw Meritocracy in Brazos' race?
Perhaps. Yeah, because
I think it was.
yeah, well, I think we were there. It was Brown Sugar's race, and we were definitely there that day.
Yeah, I think he was the last one off the bridle that day. But
Yeah.
he's looked to me like a horse who is still better than he has shown us so far. But again, he's another one that's going to get better with age. He's a massive, massive horse for a sprinter anyway. But if there's going to be a danger to Stars Above Me, it's a very competitive race. You can't deny that. But Meritocracy would be the one that I'd be taking. I'd like to see Sleeper King run a big race, but first time out, I think it'd be a big ask for him, for Kevin Ryan. So Stars Above Me would definitely be the selection for me, and I'm interested. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him for the rest of the season now. Michael, have I saved you a little bit with that? And I've called Stars Above Me for all of that speech, by the way, and it's from Philly.
Yeah. Meritocracy I thought was a little overpriced. Given 16-1 in what is a very competitive handicap, only beaten 4.5 lengths by Nova Champ, which was Stars Above Me's race. Gets a significant amount of weight now in comparison. That day he was giving Stars Above Me £1, and today he gets I can't even count now. He gets 4, so that's a £5 weight difference. I'm not saying he's good enough to do it, but I think he's good each way value. At 16, well, he's at 20s in places. Paddy Power's at 20s.
Yeah.
Fear or Favours gone green everywhere. That's a price-wise selection. That one at Bath, in my opinion, to one of the Naughty Lucky 15 horses, Amahoro. Of the others, yeah, there's not really was impressive, but really the jockey is very clever. The day at Lingfield, he's found the gap, George Baker, and he went right through it, and it was very well done. Otherwise, he would have had to come 6, 7, 8 horses wide because they were spread right across the track that day. Yeah, I think Meritocracy would be my horse each way, but it is a decent race actually. In fairness, Nova Champ. I'm not quite sure the how much. I think he gets. It's a £4 better terms with Stars Above Me now, so Stars Above Me should reverse that form. But I think Nova Shot deserves to be perhaps a little closer in the betting. He's 10-1 in placing. And Stars Above Me's 5.
It's a very competitive race.
Yeah, definitely.
It's with Stars Above Me. I think she will improve from that outing as well. She travelled much the best that day. Was a touch keen for my liking. So, like I say, the faster they go, probably the better for her, just to help her settle. But she travelled much the best that day and didn't find a great deal. So I think she will be better next time out. And it's funny you mentioned about Stomp as well. I think he got a brilliant ride as well at Windsor. So maybe it could be the jockey making him look better than he is, which may be a bit harsh after he's won 2 in a row. Joey Haynes obviously takes off 5 to make life a little bit easier tomorrow, but Joey Haynes is going to have to be at his best in the saddle to get Stomp home. I think that price is a little bit short for my liking, and I think Stars Above Me, the stablemate, is a much better bet than that. Moving on to the 350 though, what would usually be the last race that we'd be covering for Channel 4, but we've got Thirsk to follow, which...
Oh yeah, I think that's permitting if the Scoop 6 is still going, isn't it? If it's not still going, they won't take Thirsk, but only if it is.
We'll say a few words about Thirsk anyway, but
yeah, I'll have to look at that first.
Too in depth. The Lockinge though is a very, very interesting race. Would you agree me saying a little bit disappointing in the turnout? I mean, last year we had sort of the likes of Declaration of War and Far this year we've got Olympic Glory, who in his own right is a Group 1 winner, but he's not Far or Declaration of War. Would you sort of agree?
Well, I think we knew that they. I'm not sure if we knew that Far and Declaration of War were really that good. In fact, I don't think we were really fans of Declaration of War until
Okay.
the latter part of the season. So I think maybe Olympic Glory could, prove us wrong and say, here I am, I'm actually quite decent, and I am an Olympic Glory fanboy, and I hope that he can win tomorrow. The one thing I was disappointed is the fact that a lot of these horses could have done with a bit of rain.
Yeah.
Top Notch Tonto, Tullius, Chopin, and Olympic Glory all have run well on soft ground, particularly Top Notch Tonto and Tullius. Monteridge is probably the one that would enjoy the ground the most, really, and also Verrazano. Sorry, Americans. One thing that made me laugh is that at the races it says Verrazano is winner of 6 races from 6 furlongs to 1 mile 1 furlong on the all weather.
Yeah. It's
Which
not quite all weather,
made me
is it?
laugh. Yeah, it's not all weather, and also the stigma that comes with our all weather means that the races were probably not very good, which is not a fair sum up of Veranzo's chances. The ground's come right for him, I think he's got good ground as he needs, but I must admit, I think we're not massive fans of American horses coming over here. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I think Olympic Glory has definitely got Verenzano. I'm going to struggle to say that name. Olympic Glory could have done with a bit of rain, perhaps. Toronado may have been better suited to this ground now, but form is just excellent. Moonlight Cloud only beaten a short head and also won the QE2 last year. I'm a massive Olympic Glory fanboy. Really enjoyed his 2-year-old career. I have to talk about Chopin because for the 3rd week in a row we have a German horse on a Saturday. We had Kaduna, who was 4th at Newmarket 2 weeks ago. Then last week we had 16-1 Nap Emerald Star, and Chopin is the first horse I don't fancy. I've watched his race back. It's available for free on German Racing Review. My boss has released it for free, so I'll tweet the link later if you want to watch his race. But in commentary, Patrick Faraday said maybe he needs further, and this was over a mile, and he was beaten by Amaron, who was probably 2 lengths at the line, in fairness, and he just took ages to get stoking up. And now I can see why Connections were hoping for rain, because I just think he's just going to be tapped for toe, Chopin. He either needs further or he needs soft ground. And I just can't get too excited. It is perhaps a weak race, as we said. We've got Tullius, who stepped up, but is in essence, was a handicapper really.
Yeah.
Top Notch Tonto, you'd think would need soft ground to show his best. They say they wouldn't want it. They didn't mind it if it was about the same ground as Red Car, but to be honest, that Red Car run was really not very impressive at all if you consider the horses that were running in it. Bahar Casper, there was nothing really of that significance. Perhaps Galician, you could say, but Galician either runs well or he doesn't. So for me, Chopin is not my tip today, and I would definitely be going with Olympic Glory. I wouldn't be betting in this race because Olympic Glory's only evens, but I think the betting's probably got it right. Top Notch Tonto maybe is a bit overpriced, considering he was so close to Olympic Glory in the QE2, but I do think he needs the soft ground, and it'll be Olympic Glory for me.
Yeah. I'm going to throw you under the bus here. You mentioned that we're probably not the biggest fans of American horses coming over here. Verrazano was probably one of my favourites, if not my favourite American horse last year or the last 2 years. So I don't fancy him tomorrow. It's an interesting move. It's an interesting move that they brought him over. I really wanted to see his gallop at the Cora, but at the races didn't show that one. That was the only one they didn't show with the Verrazano. So I'm not sure how the turf would suit him, but Joseph comes over for the ride. 5-1 could be a bit slim, but then in the same breath, it could be very, very big. He could be anything. This isn't the strongest renewal. I'm signing with Monteridge here, who travelled much the best last time at Sandown. Again, I keep mentioning that at Sandown that day, it was horrible, horrible ground. It travelled much the best behind Tullius. And at one point, I thought he was just going to pick it up, and it was a case of how far. but he sort of just got stuck in the mud a little bit, and that's happened to him before at Haydock. Good ground is a necessity for him. He's looked very, very classy at times. He was second in the Jersey Stakes to, I think it was Gale Force 10, if memory serves me right. But 7-1, I think is a massive price about him when you've got the likes of Tullius is 8. Okay, Tullius has beaten him comprehensively, but Tullius is probably a much better horse on softer ground. And Monterey's has got a lot to find on official ratings with Olympic Glory. But I don't think there should be 7 points between them. I mean, Monterey's is an each way price at 7-1, but he's being backed at the moment. He opened up 12s apparently, which I thought was suicide, if Sporting Life isn't lying to me anyway. But at 7-1, I'd be more than willing to take Monterey with Richard Hughes on board. Obviously, he wouldn't have even got the choice with the ride on Olympic Glory because Frankie's retained by Al Shakab Racing. But 7-1, I think, is a massive, massive price out of Monterey. A horse who has been threatening to win a big race like this. Maybe he's found the right opportunity to win a weaker Group 1 anyway. So for me, Monterey would definitely be the one. I think Olympic Glory is just a little bit too short, if I'm honest. Plus, I've never really, Michael's going to hate me for saying this, I've never really been the biggest Olympic Glory fan.
Well, I've always been Olympic Glory in comparison to Ronaldo. I always think Olympic Glory, I was like, that's the better horse in my opinion, and I just didn't get why they just messed around a bit more with Olympic Glory, kind of tasted France and won France. I just thought it was bizarre that they just rated Toronado so much more, and I think Olympic Glory's proved himself, and I must admit, we're all a sucker for underdogs, and he was definitely the underdog of the two Altani pair.
Yes, well, we've got the one now. He's not an underdog, is he? Tomorrow he'll be expected to win, so we'll see how he can cope with that. I'd still fancy Monterey to give him a lot to think about anyway. But we said that we were quickly going to touch on the Thirst race, which will be the last of the Scoop 6. And if you're still going by this point, then well done, good luck to you. Just quickly, your selection. Mine, I'd probably side with Capel Liath, who ran very well 2 weeks ago. And that was also a Scoop 6 race, I believe. I remember talking about that on Bet Racing Nation. So I'll probably be talking about him on Bet Racing Nation again tomorrow morning. Capo Lieth for me, with Shane Gray taking a 5 off again. He's only £1 higher than last time. Lost to Ruwayan, I think is how you pronounce it. The Clive, Simon horse. I think it's Clive Britton anyway. I'd tentatively take Capo Lieth, maybe Al Mahir, who ran okay a few days ago, but it's not a race I could really have a strong fancy in. I'm not sure about you.
No, I can completely understand Capo Lieth. I wonder what price he is actually.
He's about 81.
Yeah, that'd be pretty tempting. I think Piscina for onto a winner, the Syndicate, that's if he gets an easy lead, he could be difficult to peg back at about 12-1, 10-1. But yeah, that's a good one. They've put that in well to try and screw a few of the Scoop 6 punters. My only worry is that it could be won by a Syndicate tomorrow because the legs to cover and actually it's not that difficult to actually back every horse in the race, which is horrible. It's sad when it comes to that, but that's what it could be.
Yeah, that's what we're all hoping that it isn't, basically.
Yeah, we all hope it's a lone punter or
but
just someone who isn't doing it like isn't it doing scientifically, but it's just done it for the fun.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like you with your £2 line with one race. A few questions. We've got Kieran from Monkey Tips asking about Chopin's Düsseldorf run last time out. He said, I'm sure he'll talk about it, but his run last time, did you see it and what do you think about it? And you've already touched on that run, haven't you? Saying that what you think he'll need further. So.
He'll need further, and they were asking for some early on this week. So, I'm just not a fan this week. I do think Olympic Glory is better, but saying that, there isn't a massive depth to the race, so maybe he will, but he's not for me tomorrow, which is bizarre for me to go against my German love that's been kindled over the last year or so. But I will post the link later on for people to view the actual race for free.
Yeah. Very kind of you guys. Kai Wills. I've watched him, Kai. Always watches. Great viewer, Kai. He asked about Stomp's chances. I think I was a bit dismissive of Stomp earlier on. I just don't think he should be that short. Okay, he's won his last two, but as me and Michael said earlier on, they were fantastic rides that he received both times at Windsor and Lingfield. I think in this tougher race, I think 9-4 is a little bit short about him, but there could again be a bit more improvement to come. And Richie Stewart has asked about Sky Hunter's chances tomorrow. He's quite sweet on him. And we sort of had a little chat about Sky Hunter as well earlier on, and just said he was back last time out but showed very, very little. You'd be taking it a little bit on trust that was just a blip, wouldn't you? And
Yeah, you'd have to, because that was pretty disappointing, really. I know the ground, but he was expected to like the ground, really, or like it more than the other horses were. Perhaps not Noble Mission, but yeah, it was disappointing. You've got to forgive that run if you think he's got a chance tomorrow.
yeah, and well, the one thing that would put me off is that he was really, really well backed last time out as well. So that will put me off a little bit. But have you got a naughty luck 15 for us this week?
No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
You haven't?
I haven't. I don't know what's happened. What is life?
What do we pay you for?
I know. I'll have to see if I can put one together while you're talking about questions and blabbering on about your nap.
Mine. Well, the annoying thing is I've already blabbed on about my nap and talking about the races in Aeolus. I just think we were so unlucky last time. Definitely is one to take this time. I think the turnaround with Parbold, obviously, I think it's £10. The weight differential this time around from their last meeting for I think about a length and a half. They were separated by, on paper, that's not good enough. But watching the race, he was so unlucky. I think Aeolus is a far better horse than that showing was, and I'm running out of things to say here, Michael, about Aeolus. So if you've got a naughty luck 15, you're going to have to hurry up.
No, I've got one horse. Well, we'll go with a naughty. No, we can't go naughty nap because this horse is never going to win. But a naughty bet for tomorrow is Saved by the Bell in the first at Doncaster.
That's a reach.
Oh, I think that was quite good, to be fair. That's not too bad. I think he's been in it before, but no, there's some disappointing horses tomorrow. In regards to the naughty lucky 15. For my nap, God, I've forgotten what horses I tipped up. We will go with. I think I kind of want to nap Mount Athos, which is probably a kiss of death. But if I'm in form, we'll stick with Mount Athos on the naps table. I do think, and I know Sam will be really happy for me for saying this. Boonga Rugetta, who he absolutely adores, the mare ridden by Rosie Jessup, that is a great front runner. Won at Bath or Brighton last time out. Brighton it was. Is a decent price at 6-1. Obviously comes against Cosseted in the 7:30 at Doncaster. This is that Cosseted was only beaten in neck by Trixie Malone. That could be a half decent horse, Trixie Malone. So it's between those two for me. But if Boonga Rugetta gets a decent lead, she's so difficult to peg back, and she's a great horse to watch.
And Rosie Jessup does ride Boonga Rugetta very, very well.
He's a very, very good rider.
Yeah, and there is a bit of money for Boonga Rugetta around tonight as well. I saw splashes of fives, maybe even shorter in places. So wouldn't be without a chance after. Well, obviously in good form. But that is all we've got time for this week on the other hoof. Thank you very much for joining us. Apologies, it was only us two, but I hope you still enjoyed the show nonetheless. Not the whole panel will be back next week. Michael, you're not here next week, are you?
No, I'm not. So you'll just get Callum and Adam probably.
Yeah. Michael's off watching Lee Evans. Yeah, it was nice. I could have made something up about where you are, but I refrained. But
yeah, I'm impressed.
I'll make something up next week when you're not here.
Yeah, right.
As always, thank you very much for watching, and thank you for interactions and sending us questions. We hope you have a great day tomorrow. From everyone here on the other hoof, have a good weekend and goodbye.